quick video to tell a little story about what happens when we have those recurring, looping memories. Those memories that fire off and they keep on bouncing back. It might be a negative memory and it keeps on coming back. It keeps on returning because it was a memory about something that was dangerous. And what's going on in our brain, because I'm a mindset coach, I'm an identity coach, and so I'm talking to people about what's going on. Well, there's a philosophy, there is a method inside the NLP suite of techniques called the fast phobia. And the fast phobia works really well with memories that have got a negative impact on you. So there's one-time learning events, and then there's events that happen over a period of time. It might be a week, it might be a day, it might be a month, it might be several years. And so these things are in the past. They're not happening now. They're not happening in this moment. And so you've got those negative memories that might fire off when you hit some sort of a trigger. And technique's fantastic. The rewind technique, the fast phobia technique for resolving that. And of course, as you start doing these techniques as a practitioner, you start thinking, okay, what's going on in the brain? So you go off into the neuroscience, you go off into the psychology, and you try and learn what's going on. So here's a little story that helps you understand what's going on in your brain. Imagine you've got a book. You've got a book. This is your book. It's a book of trauma. It's a book of a negative event. It's a book of this time in your life you didn't like. And inside that book, you'll remember certain points in that book. You'll remember certain things that upset you. You won't remember every single detail maybe, but you'll remember significant moments in the book. And this is your book of the bad thing that happened, and it fires off this old memory when certain things happen, right? And so what you do is you go and you want to put the book back on the shelf in the library, right? You want to put this book back on the shelf. You want to put this book back on the library to be filed away by the librarian. And so imagine you're walking to the library, you've got your book, you want to put it on the shelf so that you're not carrying the book anymore. But when you get there, the doors of the library are closed. What do you do now? Then you look for the little slot that allows you to put the book in. And that is also sealed up and closed. Now, you're not allowed to leave the book on the step because you'll get a fine at the library. So you end up walking around carrying your book of trauma, your book of the bad memory, your book of the thing that was bad. And so this is the metaphor that we walk around with the book in the wrong part of our brain, so it's no longer stored on the shelf in the library. In psychology or in the neuroscience part of it, the brain experts, you have a part of your brain called the amygdala, and it is the fight-flight part of your brain. And your amygdala has held on to the book of trauma. Meanwhile, the librarian holding or allowing memories to be organized and filed like a librarian. It's called the hippocampus. And when there is a trauma moment, a moment of danger, the hippocampus becomes frozen or reduced or significantly drops in its function, closing the door to the library. So that's what's going on. The librarian of your brain will not put the book on the shelf if there is danger, because it needs to remember the danger so it never happens again. The brain's amazing. It's doing an amazing thing. It's actually saying, hey, this is highly dangerous. I am very fearful. This is a bad thing. We will not forget this. We're going to put this in a different part of your brain So that if that ever happens again, we're going to fire off your fight and flight resources. Your heart's going to go up. You're going to feel anxiety. Your blood's going to go to your legs and your arms, and we're going to get you ready to run or fight. So this is what's happening when we have a traumatic event. It could be a car accident. It could be some incident that happened. Maybe it was bullying at school. Maybe it was, something highly dangerous. Maybe you got stung by bees. That's one of the, stung by bees or wasps, or maybe you got stung by bull ants. Whatever it is, there's this moment where your brain remembers, I'm in a lot of pain, I'm in a lot of fear, I'm not going to forget it. And so what it does is it leaves the book in your hand of the amygdala. And it does not allow the book to be put on the shelf. So that's what's going on in your mind. And this is why the rewind technique works very well. They've done all sorts of studies with regards to veterans in the US, people who've come back from combat situations, and they've had like incredible results of 95 and 97% success rate in only 3 or 4 sessions. Amazing results. Whereas traditional therapy in these contexts of a phobia like that is having results, which is, the normal is about 35 or 40%. So it's an amazing thing where you can just rewind the movie using this technique, using the fast phobia or using the rewind, as David Musk put it in his, who brought it into the psychology field, and using this technique to rewind. So I'm going to do a video on a very simple version for something that's just annoying you. Don't do your big bad trauma across a video, but you can start to learn the skill of the rewind. And it's got some pretty basic elements to it. I simplify it down to three basic bits. You've got this movie of this moment. You've probably got a period in your life where this movie was a particular moment. And then it might be you cut off in traffic. I don't know, pick something where you got angry and it keeps on looping. Some sort of emotions coming up, but it's not a big thing, right? Don't go and do your biggest, darkest demons. This is about learning a simple skill. So you got this thing that's annoying you. It's a memory. You can't let it go, and you just need to let it go. It's like it's somehow been trapped in your amygdala, and it's not allowing to store it on the shelf, the book of the micro trauma in this case. So all we want to do, very simply, is think of that memory as a movie, right? This is why it's called the rewind. Imagine you've got a movie, and it's got a very defined starting point and a very defined finishing point. So it's got to start and it's got to finish and it's got a period of time. And in this movie, you've also got a very safe place at the start before all that happened. It could be 5 minutes before all that happened, or it could be 5 days before, or 5 years. It doesn't matter. It's just a moment in time when you were safe, relaxed, the opposite to the trauma response. So you're feeling safe, right? So one, you've got a movie. 2, you've got a safe place at the start. And 3, you've got a safe place at the end. So that is the 3 bits you need to do a micro version of the rewind. Now, obviously, if you've got a big trauma, don't do a big trauma on it. You need someone helping you through this sort of stuff. You need someone to help you maybe with some anchoring techniques, some positive resources to get you back in the right state, and who's there with you to guide you through something like this. But don't do this by yourself if it's trauma. But if it's something that's just annoying, it's an okay thing to play with. So here we are. We've got our setup. You've got the safe place at the start. You've got your movie of the bad feeling, and you've got the thing that happened and how you remember it. Remember, our memories are never exactly the same as the thing that happened. It's only what entered your eyes, what entered your ears, what entered your feelings at the time, what thoughts you had, right? Different filters. And you've got this safe place at the end. 3 bits. Safe place, movie, safe place at the end. And all we're going to do is you close your eyes, you imagine that safe place at the start, and as you close your eyes, you put it on a movie screen and put the movie screen far away from you. So it's in the distance a bit. And as you put it on the movie screen, you've got the remote control and you press the play button from the safe place at the start. You're going to end up at the safe place at the end. Make the movie black and white and then run it all the way to the end. And inside that, you do it quite fast. You run it through to the end, right? Because we're doing a quick video here. And it might have been a 2-hour situation, but you're going to do it in like less than a minute, 30 seconds. Just all the key representations will be in there. You know what they are. And then once you get to the safe place at the end, you've got the remote control. But this time, when we rewind it, which is the rewind technique, you're going to rewind from the safe place at the end, and you're going to rewind it in 3 seconds, the whole thing in reverse. So imagine you're rewinding a falling building. Well, the building will then rebuild itself, right? Because it's all in reverse. Everything's going backwards. Everyone's talking backwards. Everyone's walking backwards. And so what you'll do is you'd go from the safe place at the end of the movie and you'll rewind all the way back to the start. Okay? That's what you're going to do. So if you have that safe place at the start, the safe place at the end, and you've chosen your movie, remember, nothing crazy, just something that's annoying, not your biggest, darkest trauma. And if you need to see a professional in your mental health field, please do, without doing any of this stuff if you've got a big problem, big trauma. But if this is an annoying thing, it's a memory that you would like to just store on the shelf, then we can go through this. So that is the theory. But before we get into the theory, I want you to understand the lessons from this. The simple one I love to start with is that this lesson, this memory, let's say it was, you had a near miss on the road or something and it just flashes in front of you, but no one got hurt. It wasn't a trauma of a final event, but it was a scary moment. Or maybe someone cut you off in traffic and you got angry. You don't want to be angry anymore. It's a way of playing with it. It's a memory, right? It's a representation inside yourself. So what we're going to do is going to take this memory and we're going to learn the lessons. So what we want to do is you can write down on a piece of paper consciously the lessons that you are aware of, but also unconsciously the lessons that your unconscious needs to let go of this memory and store it on the shelf. Because when you have the lessons that this will never happen again, that this was a one-time event, that I am very safe, if there are any lessons to be learned, learn those lessons. It makes it easier to let go. One of the reasons I believe from doing the rewind on many people now is that it's holding on to the memory because you have not learnt the lessons, right? So we want to consciously learn some lessons, but also unconsciously learn some lessons. So if you've got that movie, think to yourself, what is a lesson that would let me release this into the library? What would be a lesson that would allow me to release this and no longer store it in my fight or flight phase of the amygdala? I like to call the amygdala the Gandalf, thou shalt not pass, because that's what it's doing. It will not let that memory through to the hippocampus, which is the librarian. So what are your lessons? That's a really important piece. If you don't know what your lessons are, I like to think about it like this. The very simple thing is it was a thing that happened in the past Sometimes these things happened 20 years ago. I've had a few like that. So it's never going to happen again. It's a clear one-time event. It's not like it's in your life now. One of my rules is this can't be happening now, or the rewind might not be the right thing to talk about. We might need to talk about some other stuff. But if it's an old memory, it's a representation. It's not real. It happened. It was a trauma, but it's not happening now. And when you realize it's just a bunch of chemicals floating around in your brain trying to keep you safe, amazing job, brain. Thank you. But it's time to move on. So learn the lessons. And there's a bit of a meditation I'll do. If anyone's struggling with that, I like to take them on a little bit of a hypnotic journey, inductive journey, if you will, where they go into their mind, into their unconscious mind, and they learn the lessons. And I'll throw a few suggestions in, but I want them to come up with their lessons. Writing the lessons, and I have this place I always go to called the Golden Library of Your Mind. And that is a golden library of lessons. It's a golden library of learnings. It's a golden library of understanding yourself. That these lessons will allow you to let it go. So there you go. You've got your lessons, you've got your learnings, and you could stop the video now and write down 10 lessons from this that will allow you to let it go. So your brain has something to hang on to. So stop the video, write down 5 or 10 things, and I can send it also. I can link in this video a meditation on the Golden Library as well, which will be a separate video. So you've got your 10 lessons from why you can release this memory and put it on the shelf. You can access these memories anytime you like. It's a really useful metaphor I love to use. So there you are. So we've gone through all of that, right? So you've got your lessons, right? That's probably the fourth piece. The first piece was a safe place at the start. The second piece was the movie itself of the event you would like to store on the shelf. The third piece was the safe place at the end. And the fourth piece is the lessons, right? So when you've got these 4 pieces in place, the 4 pieces that allow the rewind to be even more effective, the fast phobia, the releasing of the movie as a memory and put it as a book on the shelf, then you can notice the differences and it works so much better. The unconscious is on board, right? That's the key. You've got to make a good relationship with your unconscious mind. Okay, so let's do a little run through. Now I've explained all that. Imagine you've got your point A, starting point safe, your point B, which is your ending point safe, and your movie. Okay? And all we're going to do, move that movie into a black and white picture. Move it as far away from yourself as you need it to be. Remember, it's not your big trauma. It's just something that's annoying you, a recurring looping memory that happened a long time ago, which is better if you can do one of those. And so that there it is. It's black and white. It's a black and white movie. It's as far away as you need it to be so that you're comfortable. You've got your black and white movie. You can close your eyes and do this. It's black and white. Starting at your safe place. See that safe place at the start of the movie. You've got the remote control, so you're in control, and play the movie through from the safe place at the start to the safe picture at the end, and play it through at kind of fast speed, but where all the key moments are acknowledged and you get to the end. So 3, 2, 1, and start to play in black and white, all the way through, all the way through, all the way through, and get to the end of the movie in the safe place. Picking up all the key moments. Your unconscious will bring up whatever it needs to bring up. And so now you're at the end. You're at the end. We've gone kind of fast, but it's just really picking up key moments is what usually happens. And so there you are at the end. Now we're at the end. You're at the safe place at the end. See that safe place at the end where everything is right, everything is normal, you're feeling calm. And remember, you got that safe place at the start. And we're going to hit the rewind button in just a moment. And we're going to do it at supersonic speed. And we're going to rewind the whole thing in 3 seconds, right? 3 seconds. So everything goes super fast. You know, if you watch a building fall and then in a movie, and then you hit the rewind, the building rebuilds itself, everything's going backwards. Cars are going backwards. People are walking backwards. People's words are going back into their mouth. People's food's going the opposite direction. If they're eating, all those things, right? Everything's in reverse. So there you are at the safe place at the end. And get ready, closing your eyes. Now counting backwards from 3, 2, 1, and rewind. All the way to the safe place at the start. Back at the safe place, everything was supersonic. And you might notice some shifts in the body. You might notice some different sensations, like the brain's going, whoa, that's not how we stored that stuff. Come on, Matt, what's going on? Right, so that is super useful. So that's one round through. Now, ideally, at the start, I should have calibrated you. So I'll cut into the video. Measure yourself out of 10 as to how big a problem this is for you, that this looping thought is coming in. This looping thought is recurring. This looping thought is giving you a hard time. 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10, whatever the number is, relative to this thing that's not your biggest trauma, remember? It's something that's annoying. So there you are. You got your score out of 10. So we've done one round through. Now that we've been one round through, how do you feel? You were a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10. Now what is it? Just measure it. Could be a 5, could be a 4, could be the same. Doesn't matter. Now let's do it again. Safe place at the start. Safe place at the end. I like to now start at the end. You've got the movie. You already know what's in the movie. You've already got that. You're at the end. You've got the safe place at the start, safe place at the end, starting at the safe place at the end. Do you have that picture? Safe place at the end, safe place at the start. We're going to rewind it in 2 seconds this time. Everything going backwards. 3, 2, 1. Safe place at the end. Back to the start. Everything went in reverse. Do that inside yourself. That's right. That's very good. Notice any changes in your body. Now, let's try it again. Re-rack the movie. You like to project the booth of your mind. When we do this properly, when we do this in a session, I'll take you through a whole scenario to double disassociate if there's anything big going on. But this is just to get rid of normal memories. So there you are. You're at the start. Let's get to the end of the movie, right? We're at the end of the movie. They've got that safe place at the end of the movie, your image, your representation, something where you feel calm. You got your safe place at the start. Once again, 3, 2, 1. In 2 seconds, everything in reverse. Everything in reverse. Everyone's talking backwards. Back to the safe place at the start. Breathing in, noticing any sensation changes in the body. That's right. That's the rewind. And now we'll do one more go. Let's get the rewind button. We'll get the reset button. We're going to re-rack it back at the end place in the movie. You already know the things that in the movie that you are rewinding. You're back at the safe place at the end. 3, 2, 1. In through 2 seconds. Back to the safe place at the start. Everything in reverse. Everything in reverse. And it's a safe place. Seeing that safe place. So now that you have rewound those memories, give yourself a score out of 10. Bringing back up that old memory, noticing it, noticing how you feel about it. Is it still the same problem? We're not doing that exposure type therapy that psychologists might do. We're doing a structural storing disruption. Now, what this does when they've done studies on this is it does something to the memory in the amygdala, the Gandalf, the thou shall not pass, the fight flight part of your brain. And what it's doing is the chemical makeup allows that memory to pass through to the hippocampus, which is the librarian, right? So it goes through to the hippocampus, which is the part of your brain that allows the storage. It's the librarian, right? It's, okay, this is going to long-term memory, this goes to short-term memory, and it sorts it out. And as a result, the memory is no longer triggering the fight or flight part of your brain. Now, no doubt, if you would go back into the memory, it may start to bring stuff up if you really try and relive the old memory. But the idea is we don't want it firing off by itself. We don't want it firing off without you consciously going into the memory because you've got some reason to. You don't want it, triggering you off into a big emotional state. You want to only bring it up when it's appropriate to bring it up. The idea of this is it's released it from the amygdala and you've put the book back on the shelf. That is the goal of the rewind. That is the goal of the fast phobia. I love the technique. Anyone tells me any stories where this memory keeps coming up, I'm saying, okay, let's go rewind that stuff. Let's go and see if we can release some of that stuff. Sometimes it works for a whole period of time connected to a specific context. I've had a 10-year period where it worked really well with someone who had traumatic memories of a particular context. I've had it work really well with people who've had family particular contexts, for example, where they were releasing some of these old memories and the meanings that come with it, which are really useful. These things were no longer in their life. It was safe to do so. There was no real drama in doing so. So as a result, it worked really well. So that's the rewind technique. And that's why it's so valuable, because you can start to use these techniques to release old memories that are looping, but you've got to learn the lessons. Your mind might not let it go. Now, if there's resistance to letting it go, there might be some identification into those memories. There might be some other things going on. But if it's a thing that happened and it's time to move on and your brain's still looping it, this technique works super, super well. Well, this is Matt Tate. I hope you've enjoyed that video. If you like this content, like and subscribe to the channel. And if you like the content, you can reach out to me on matthewtate.com, which will be in the link in the descriptions. This is Matt Tate signing out, and thank you for watching.